I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for letting us use your room.
You're more than welcome.
More room down here. Thank you. Well, I guess we'll just start down the sheet. Or do you want to do an overview, Amy?
Well, the only thing I would say is I would just check with staff. First, we need to have conference on Senate Bill 159.
Which is that one?
Claims against the state.
Yes, sir, you are conferencing on Senate Bill 159.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that's the bill that we're going to be conferencing on.
Correct, sir.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. And I guess then we'll proceed to go down the sheet because the projection here is to insert the differences on our omnibus positions into Senate Bill 159.
Correct, right.
Okay. Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. We did not consider paying this, and you guys did, so I think at this particular time we'll stay with the Senate position. Can we excuse us for just a couple seconds here?
That's fine. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we're back. Next line item was the Attorney General. You added funding, $29.90. The Senate did not, and we will stay with the Senate position. Insurance Department, GBA 3. Looks like we both adopted Amy, what would, I've asked Amy to go ahead and read these, and as we go through them.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Amy?
Thank you. So on page 1, on the Insurance Department, item 1, the Senate adopted the GBA and added language subjecting the appropriated amount subject to a resolution and agreement between the parties. The House adopted the GBA in part to cease the transfers from the Securities Act fee fund to the State General Fund for fiscal year 21 and 22, but did not adjust the funding.
So we're going to keep the Senate position on that one at this time.
All right.
For the Department of Administration, item 1, the Senate adopted the GBA and added language subjecting the appropriated amount to the same language requiring a resolution and agreement between the parties. This is still the GBA about the Securities Act fee fund lawsuit. The House position was to not adopt the GBA.
We're going to keep the Senate position at this time.
On other statewide adjustments, the House added language directing that all office locations which were open to the public and closed as a result of the COVID-19 public health emergency reopen on or before June 1st, 2021 with the same services as prior to the public health emergency in 2021. The Senate did not consider adding the language.
We're going to keep the Senate position.
For the legislature, item 1, the Senate added $25,000 all state general fund for the Council of State Government Conference being held in Wichita in the summer of 2022. The House did not consider adding the funding.
Senate.
Legislature item 2, the Senate added language creating an interim study of child support enforcement and collection with approval of the Legislative Coordinating Council for fiscal year 2022. The House did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
Item 3 for the legislature, the House added language that the Bob Bethel Joint Committee on Home and Community-Based Services and Can Care Oversight review pharmacy benefit managers and treatment of 340B entities for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not consider adding the language.
And we will look at this. We're going to look at the language and get back with you on that one. So it's Senate position.
Right, that's fine.
At the top of page 2 for the Attorney General, the House added $83,173 all state general fund and 1 FTE positions for the requirements included in HB 2158 concerning the State Child Death Review Board records confidentiality for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not consider adding the funding.
Senate position.
Attorney General, item 2, the Senate added $51,900 all from the State General Fund to the Protection from Abuse Fund to restore the reduced resource adjustment for fiscal year 2022. The House did not consider adding the funding.
Senate.
Attorney General, item 3, the House added $2,990 all from the State General Fund for human trafficking notice posting requirements included in HB 2079 concerning the Attorney General's duties. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
Attorney General, item 4, the House added language allowing the agency to make reimbursement to scrap metal dealers for fiscal year 2022 in the event the agency cannot make all reimbursements in 2021 due to timing. The Senate did not recommend adding the language.
Senate.
On page 2, the Board of Indigent Defense Services, the Senate added $3.6 million all from the State General Fund to fund the assigned council rate increase up to $100 per hour for fiscal year 2022. The House did not consider adding the funding.
Senate.
On page 2, for the Judicial Branch, item 1, the House added $1.9 million all from the State General Fund for a 5% salary increase for judges and justices for fiscal year 2022. The recommendation includes a 3-year salary increase plan of 5% each year for fiscal years 22, 23, and 24. The Senate did not consider adding the funding.
Senate.
Judicial Branch, item 2, the House added $10.8 million all from the State General Fund for salary increases for non-judge employees for fiscal year 22. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
Judicial Branch, item 3, the House added language limiting non-judicial employee salary increases to a maximum of 12% for fiscal year 2022. The House recommendation includes the addition of $10.8 million to fund those salary increases. The Senate did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
Judicial Branch, item 4, the House added $4.3 million all from the State General Fund and 70 FTE positions for the agency's enhancement request for additional court service officer personnel for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding or the FTE positions.
Senate.
Page 2, Department of Revenue, the Senate added $356,571 all from the State General Fund to implement the provisions of SB 50 concerning marketplace facilitators and income tax deductions and exemptions for fiscal year 2022. The House added the funding, but not the 6 FTE positions.
Senate.
Page 2, Department of Commerce, item 1. Both committees added $94,300 to implement the reemployment provisions of Senate Sub 4 HB 2196, the Unemployment Modernization Act, for fiscal year 2022. The Senate added the funding from EDIF and reduced the transfer from EDIF into the State General Fund The House added the funding from the State General Fund.
Senate.
Page 2, Department of Labor, Item 1. The House added language requiring the agency to use a portion of the $9.6 million State General Fund appropriation to conduct the audit on the fraudulent unemployment insurance payments required in Senate Sub for HB 2196. The Senate did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
Department of Labor, Item 2. The Senate added language requiring the State Finance Council to review the possibility of using federal funds from the American Rescue Plan Act to fund the modernization once guidance is available for fiscal year 2022. The House did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
Page 2, Department of Health and Environment Health. The Senate added $100,000 all from the State General Fund and 1 FTE position to implement the Rural Hospital Innovation Grant Program contained in Senate Sub for HB 2208. The House did not recommend adding the funding or the position.
Senate.
Page 3, the Kansas Department for Aging and Disability Services, Item 1. The House added $9.6 million, including $4.3 million from the State General Fund, and language raising the protected income level for HCBS waivers from 150% to 300% of the federal supplemental security income level for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not consider adding the funding or the language.
Senate.
Item 2, the House added $11.3 million, including $4.2 million from the State General Fund for the Home and Community-Based Services Technology-Assisted Waiver, and language directing that this increase be used to increase the T1000 service code from a current rate of $39 per hour to $47 per hour. The Senate did not consider adding the funding or the language.
Senate.
Item 3 is funding for the Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinics, CCBHC's services only. Would note that both chambers added the administrative costs. So the House added $1.6 million, including $627,000 from the State General Fund. The House added $2.8 million, including $1.1 million from the State General Fund.
Senate.
Item 4 is funding for the operational costs associated with the 988 crisis hotline. The Senate added $3 million, all from the State General Fund. The House added $7 million, all from the State General Fund, and added language to lapse the funding associated with the implementation if federal funds are available for this purpose.
Senate.
Page 3 for the Kansas Neurological Institute. The House added $2.2 million, all from the State General Fund, to increase the starting salaries for the mental health and developmental disabilities technician positions for fiscal year 2022.
Senate.
Page 3, Parsons State Hospital. The House added $2.1 million, all from the State General Fund, to increase starting salaries for the MHDDT positions for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
Page 3, the Board of Regents. The House added $10 million, all from the State General Fund, to the Board of Regents' new need-based aid scholarship and recruitment fund to be distributed to state universities in Washburn. If those universities in Washburn provide in-person classes for classes that were previously in person, refund fall 2020 and spring 2021 funds to applicable students in the form of direct reimbursements, and those state universities follow the board policies for deferred maintenance. Funds would be used for need-based scholarships and student recruitment per Board of Regents policies for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding or the language.
Senate.
Board of Regents, Item 2. The House added $76,770, all from the State General Fund, for a 2.5% salary increase for fiscal year 2022. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
Page 3, for the University of Kansas Medical Center. The Senate added $500,000, all from the State General Fund, for the Midwest Stem Cell Therapy Center to conduct clinical trials for COVID-19 patients, and add language lapsing the funding if it's not used for such trials. The House did not consider, did not consider adding the funding or the language.
Senate.
Page 4, Department of Corrections, number 1. The House added language, all from the added $200,000 off from the State Institutions Building Fund for the purpose of the study of repurposing the Kansas Juvenile Correctional Complex and establishing 3 or more regional facilities for fiscal year 2022, with additional language regarding what should be considered. The Senate did not consider adding the funding or the language.
Senate.
Page 4, Department of Corrections, item 2. The Senate added language to lapse $2.1 million from the State General Fund for replacement of the Adult and Juvenile Offender Management Data System if federal funds are available for such purpose. The House did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
Page 4, Kansas Bureau of Investigation, for the $250,000 off from the State General Fund for the responsibilities in 2058. The Senate added the funding. The House added the funding and added language to lapse any remaining amount not expended for this purpose.
Senate.
Kansas Bureau of Investigation, item 2. The Senate added $30,000 off from the State General Fund for systems maintenance and upkeep for the scrap metal database repository. The House did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
Page 4 for the Sentencing Commission. The House added $82,659 off from the State General Fund for a salary adjustment for employees. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
On page 4, the Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism, the Senate added $50,000 off from the Wildlife Fee Fund to combat aquatic nuisance species in Kansas lakes and reservoirs. The House did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
On page 4, the Office of Administrative Hearings, the Senate added $80,379 off from the Administrative Hearings Office Fund for salary increases, including administrative law judges and the director. The House did not recommend adding the funding.
Senate.
On page 4, other statewide adjustments, the House added language directing that all office locations which were open to the public and closed as a result of the COVID-19 public health emergency reopen with the same services as prior to the public health emergency. The Senate did not consider adding the language.
Senate.
On page 4, state employee pay, the House added $28.1 million, including $11.8 million from the State General Fund for a 2.5% salary adjustment for classified and unclassified employees, excluding the Judicial Branch, Board of Regents, institutions, and schools for the blind and deaf for fiscal year 2022. In addition, adjust the transfer from the key fund to the CIF. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding or adjusting the transfer.
Senate.
On page 4, CAPER's policy change, item 1. The House added $28.9 million off from the State General Fund for debt service payments on pension obligation bonds issued pursuant to HB 2405. The Senate did not recommend adding the funding.
Excuse me 1 second. Question for Amy. This is the $500 million bond, correct?
Correct.
And so I think we'll go ahead and just accept this one at this time.
So just for clarification, you're accepting the House position on that? Yes, all right.
Yeah, yes, to fund it.
Mr. Chairman, page 5, at the top, for fiscal year 2023 for the Judicial Branch, the House position was to add $1.9 million off from the State General Fund for a 5% salary increases for judge and justices for fiscal year 2023. The Senate did not consider adding the funding.
Senate.
Last item on page 5 is fiscal year 2024 for the Judicial Branch. The House added $2 million off from the State General Fund for a 5% salary increase for judges and justices for fiscal year 2024. The Senate did not consider adding the funding.
Senate. Thank you, Amy. Couple of provisos that we would like to bring at the future round. We've been working on some language for the reconstruction of the docking building and also of the KDHE labs. And so we'd like to let you know ahead of time that we do have a couple provisos on those two items that we're working on. And the maintenance of effort, we have been working on some options there. And so we would also bring you a proviso on maintenance of effort to try to solve that issue with the higher ed.
Well, and one thing I would say, and in regards to, we have some provisos that we're going to bring forward as well. And one of those is going to be in addressing the state offices being open by June 1, which is, I believe, 2 items in the document that we have. So we're going to be restructuring that, and hopefully it's more appealing to the Senate what our new House position will be. I just wanted to say, you know, thank you for your generosity in the one item that you gave us during this time.
Well, I think you were pretty much like us. We really hadn't had a good opportunity to
Correct.
go through the list. So
And that's what I was going to say. What is the time schedule for the Senate?
we go on the floor at 10. We are having a Senate Ways and Means Committee meeting at 10:30. And so if you want to meet again before lunch, we could make that work.
Well, what I was going to suggest is that we just recess for a little bit. It's 9:30 right now. We go back to the floor at 10, or we go on the floor at 10. And so the House could discuss the items and have another offer at 9:45.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
be
you.
right back.
Welcome back.
All right, thank you, Senate. We'll just run through the items that we just deliberated on. First, item number 1 for the Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism House. Attorney General, House. Insurance Department, House. Department Administration, House. Other statewide adjustments, there are 2 items regarding this, and actually I believe Jill may have the language. We have a House modified. When we had the discussion yesterday, actually the Vice Chair had introduced an amendment in regards to this of just opening up the driver's license offices. And then we had a discussion in regards to all statewide offices. We would like to go back to a House modified of just singling it out to the driver's license offices across the state of Kansas and having those opened up by June 1st. So if you'll take that into consideration. For fiscal year 2022, Legislature, Senate. Item number 2, Senate. Item number 3, House. For the Attorney General, item number 1, House. Item number 2, Senate. Item number 3 and 4, House. For bids, item number 1, Senate. Judicial Branch, items 1, 2, 3, and 4, House. Department of Revenue, House. Commerce, House. Labor, House. Item number 2, Senate. KDHE, item number 1, House. KDADS, all items 1, 2, 3, and 4, House. K&I, House. Parsons, House. Actually, all the rest of the items on that page, House. Department of Corrections, item number 1, House. Item number 2, Senate. KBI, items 1 and 2, House. Sensing Commission, House. Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism, Senate. Office of Administrative Hearings, House. Again, here's that language that needs to be changed for statewide adjustments, so it's House modified. State employee pay, House. And the one item you accepted was the capers, so that's done. And then on page 5, for fiscal year 2023 and 2024 for the Judicial Branch, House.
Couple of questions.
Yes.
On page 2, Department of Revenue, item number 1, the
Yes.
6 FTEs. We just wanting to get a little more information on that. Do you know that there's existing staff there that can do this?
Yeah,
Or?
we actually had a discussion about this yesterday in regards to the override on Senate Bill 50, and we had a discussion in regards to the vacancies with the Department of Revenue. And there is existing vacancies within the Department of Revenue where they could absorb the 6 FTE positions. It's just, however, they are not funded. So we had added the funding, but basically to use attrition and have those FTE positions filled with the current vacancies that's with the Department of Revenue.
Great, thank you. Also on Department of Labor,
On item number 1 or 2?
item number 1 on the language area, yes, if you could give us a little more information on number 1.
I believe with the passage, and Amy, you might help me out with this, but I believe with the passage of Senate substitute for House Bill 2196, I don't know if it's stated that we need to use a portion of that to conduct the audit, and so that's why we had to address that particular item. I may defer to Amy to clarify. Do you want to say that? I think Vice Chairman Hoffman has additional comments in regards to that.
Yeah, I believe we put the, we called for an audit, and this simply pays for that audit. We wanted to make sure that money was earmarked for the audit out of the Department of Labor. Because in 2196, there's to be an audit.
So we're giving the department the authority to expend the money.
So do you know it says a portion, do you have any idea on the amount?
That I'd have to defer to staff. Amy?
Mr. Chairman, I do not believe we know the estimated amount of the audit. We can certainly try and get you more information.
Thank you. Senator Hawk has a question. Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It relates to that same issue. Is that 9.6 million for 2196? Is that the full amount of money that was fiscal note on 2196 in terms of state general fund?
I believe it was, but we'll just get a clarification. They're nodding in agreement. So yes, it was the full amount for the fiscal note of 2196.
And certainly we're not intending to use that whole amount for an audit.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I guess one additional question on these driver's license offices, are they still all closed?
Yes, some are closed. Actually, and I'll have Vice Chairman Hoffman kind of clarify that situation since he brought the amendment yesterday, but it's the discussion that we had yesterday and what he had presented to the committee is that a lot of the offices in our area of the state, in central and western Kansas, may have a driver's license examiner who is housed someplace else, and they visit the county treasurer's office in a more rural county, and they have not been able to do that because of the closure, but I'll have Representative Hoffman clarify on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, that's correct. That a lot of those are housed in the courthouses, and an examiner comes, maybe once every couple of weeks to do CDL renewals, and most of those offices, they're not making their visitations, I guess, to those offices, and so this would give until June 1st, and we're wanting those satellite offices back open by June 1st.
So I guess I didn't realize that because in our area, we have to go to another county to get CDLs, but we can get regular driver's license through the county treasurer, does it?
Well, and I would say, like, for example, in my county, in Russell County, we have the examiner who is actually housed out of Ellis County, and they come every 2 weeks, and they haven't been able to do that for license renewals. Even though the county treasurer's office and the county courthouse is open, they are not, they don't have the ability to come to Russell for driver's license renewals.
Thank you for the information. Any other questions from my comrades? I guess you're going to floor 10, we're going to floor 10, and we have a Ways and Means Committee meeting at 10:30. And so, I don't, do you want to try to meet before lunch, or should we just try to meet after lunch? Do you have much going on the floor, do you know?
Actually, I don't want to anticipate what the time of debate is going to be, but we do have medicinal marijuana that we're going to be taking up today. So that may be a lengthy debate on the House floor. So I would just anticipate that we stay in contact with one another, and then I can make an announcement on the House floor when we are getting ready to recess, and make an announcement for the next conference committee.
Sounds good. Thank you. I guess we're adjourned.
We're
Thanks.
adjourned.